Just in my element here today. Gonna be on here for like probably like a half hour. Gotta get out. See what we're working with. Get this thing together. Get all my information. What we got? What's happening? How you doing? How you feeling today? How you do? How you do? How you do? I'm just getting everything started, so you know I'm just starting out. So be patient. So I'm just getting everything started. So be patient with me. I'm just getting everything started. I'm going to be sending everything out. Good, good. Give me just one moment. Let me send all my notifications out. Glad you're feeling good. Okay, I am back now. I am back. I am back now. I'm back. I had to send out all those apps. I don't know about him being left-handed has to do with anything. I just think that he's just up to no good. If that's the case, the whole industry played him. See, and he won't ever tell you the truth about who really played him. The real people that played him is the ones who run the labels. Diddy didn't play him. Diddy tried to play with him. He didn't play him. There's a difference. Play him and play with him is two different entities altogether. Diddy tried to play with him in an unsettling situation. The industry, the ones who really cashed the money and cashed the checks, tried to play him as far as that's a whole different level. So he's not telling the truth, you know. He's not telling the truth. He'll have people thinking that he's you know, it's a lot more going on with that, you know. It's not believable. Um I don't like these industry folks because they lie all the time. They act like oh, so and so's got so much control. Um, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot more going on. It's a lot happening that they only whitewash. They do enough to what they want to have you see, but there's a lot more that goes on with the industry. And believe me, that is just a small fragment of what it really happens. You know, it's the cute version, but it's a lot more that goes on. A lot more that goes on. You know, they just have people thinking. I can't say he's like that because uh he's also built off his ego. I still remember when he challenged Kanye to a battle that who was gonna sell the most records back in '08, and he got his feelings hurt. He got into the vitamin water. He was able to make himself more profitable as a businessman. I'm gonna say something to you real quick about that. He got corporate money with Netflix. This has got nothing to do with, hey, they let him do stuff. But think about what they do. They do this. It's a divide to conquer. They do this for black men all the time, just like the whole Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing. This is the same thing. Biggie Tupac. They find two pigeons who think that they really loved on that plantation and they put them against each other. You ain't never seen Justin Timberlake and Justin Bieber stand in the middle of the street talking about, I'm going to take you down. John B. and Robin Thicke, I'm going to take you down. We're the ones who get caught doing that stupidness. We're the ones who get caught doing that stupidity. You see Gwen Stefani and Fergie or uh, 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 Taylor Swift, Katy Perry doing no crap like this. Britney and Christina Aguilera, we do this to ourselves. And then somehow we're gonna reward and take a side when no side wins. And then when they're done with them, we're the ones that are left holding the bag of like, well, that was somebody that we used to respect, somebody we used to admire, you know. No, you never did ask that question. Who was more revolutionary? I don't consider, but I'm glad you mentioned Run DMC or NWA. I'm going to use that for a future thing. I don't consider. That's a great question. That's a great question. To me, it's always going to be Run DMC because they were the first ones that did their thing. They were like the Beatles, Jackson 5 of hip hop. They had the shoes, they had the DJ, they had the rhymes, they had the persona from head to toe. They were like that one. And they were in movies, they had commercials, they did the whole nine. Sampling, original material, they did the whole nine. And I do think that Larry Smith, who was one of the producers, and Rick Root, who the producers, were just as, better than Dr. Dre's production. Tell the truth about what? Tell the truth about what, Dave? Tell me what that means. I think that NWA was kind of like a counterpart to what Public Enemy was doing, and it was almost became like a West Coast mocking in a way mocking, but it wasn't. But it was. It didn't. It seemed like suburban kids who were rebellion, who were using a scare tactic of curse words, and they had catchy songs, but it was the way it was done, and that took off. That took off. But if you looked at NWA, it was more. It wasn't like the Black Panther Party. The ones on the East Coast represented that the most. Truth is none of the rappers on the West Coast, as far as groups were concerned, you know. Well, you can get the heck off my show, trash. Since you think I'm telling some lies, get off my show. You're gonna come on here and call somebody a liar, make sure you get your facts straight. Nobody telling no lies here. Just a lot of trolls coming on. Some mega hat wearing trolls at that. Funny how they like to in vain. There's a okay. Wow. See, no, it ain't coming on here trolling. I don't know where they get these trashes from. They come on here, they infiltrate, and they think they funny. And I don't find any humor in someone that comes along to troll. I don't do trolls. You're welcome to come on here and commentate if you know how to be sensible and adult. If you come on here trolling, you're gonna get the door. I ain't got time for that today. You know. So that's the end of that. Please continue to comment if you want something to say, and please hit the likes. 75%. 75% is up to 75% thinking it's doing too much. I think it should be 100%. I think I'm gonna say this again. I just got a video that's gonna come out. This Diddy thing is fake outrage. It's fakery. It's not real. They knew what was up with him. They been known that they're booty bandits. They been known that they chasing cheeks. It's nothing new. Stop acting like the documentary so revelatory. It's not, and I don't want to hear about old lady too young to know. Uh, ask your people about them. Ask people. First of all, let me give you an example. When I was a kid, right, kid of the '80s, very young in the '90s, I knew about Bill Cosby's '70s exploits. I heard about his '60s exploits. Okay, so I don't want to hear that. Oh, I did because somebody was gonna tell it, and this was way before there was social media. Way before. Heard about it. So there's bound to be somebody that'll come out and say, yeah, so and so is like this, so and so does this, so and so is into this, so and so is like that. It's these people who be lying or they don't do no research. And if you come along now, you got Google, you got AI, you got Wikipedia, you got ways to cheat, you got the best cheat code. I ain't had no cheat code. I had to do like Alex Haley and go to the library or ask somebody. Shoot, you got cheat codes. So, I mean, I'm always amazed when people get on this high horse about, oh, 50 is just getting bought and paid by people who want to make an example out of Diddy. It's a reminder to black folk, Negroes, y'all got to be careful when you be out here thinking that they love you. And then the minute you step out of line, they got to put you back in pocket. I know times I got to keep trying to tell folks. Somehow you think that because give you a couple of dollars and let you wear Gucci, and when you only wear Uchi, trying to tell you, trying to tell you. You better pray and you better get on your knees and make sure that you um think the essential, not the stuff that's false, not the illusion. You know, can't even begin to say it enough, but you got to make sure that you have a higher calling, higher power. You know, it ain't gonna be in no man-made thing. It ain't gonna be man-made. I don't like these questions they be asking here about an artist that you think everyone should listen to at least once. That's too wide range. But anyway, no, I don't do trolls on here. You come on here and you start that mess, you know. Samuel Jackson and Menace. As far as what? I don't understand your question. I don't understand the question. But I do like, there is something about Minister Society that I want to ask. But that's, I know what I want to ask. But I didn't understand your question though. No, it was Samuel Jackson's character at the table. Tori's role was just the cat with the brush, which made me think of some cats that I know. But he didn't really get much and fleshed out. His role was kind of, Joe Torre's role was kind of just like him and Regina King were both playing off each other, but it didn't really go nowhere. I think um, John Singleton underdeveloped it to kind of sell a certain facade. He didn't really dig into the relationships properly. But that does lead me to a better question that I will ask on when I do a video in the future. But I think he kind of shortchanged it, if you want my personal opinion about it. It got kind of shortchanged. If I can say that. I don't know what the TJ like. I don't know what that means. What's happening? How you doing? I'll be on for another 30 minutes, so holler at your boy. I'm gonna make this an hour show today, so I'm coming on a little bit today because I gotta get out of here in about. Who was underrated? Tyron Taylor, because at least Tyron had a role, and you kind of fell for him. Joe Torre's role was underdeveloped. It was underdeveloped. It was underdeveloped because it didn't really go nowhere. I remember, because you know what, his facial expressions never changed, and the truth is, Tyron Taylor should have had a Junior Whopper Wesley Snipes career if you think about it, because he had that kind of thing with Rhythm Nation. He had that same look and energy, and it just didn't go nowhere. It's Max Muhammad. If you go on, and you can ask Charlene, I'm on Facebook, Max Muhammad, and you can find me also on Instagram. Not hard to find. Max Muhammad. Well, Vivica been around a lot longer than Ted too. She did some TV shows back in the 80s. Um, she used to be friends with Jill Jones, who was in Purple Rain. Remember the blonde? It's a long story about Vivica. I got a crazy Vivica. She been around for a long time. She just didn't emerge really big until the 90s, but she was around for a lot longer. I think he just got hood leveled. It almost happened to Lawrence Tate. Them braids. Sometimes you get hood leveled. And if you don't get, money put on you, I seen his interviews. But he kind of limited himself too. You gotta be careful with that. Because he didn't articulate. And he didn't do nothing out of character. You know. When cats show up to auditions and they still trying to play hood, you know. Gotta be very careful with the roles you take. So that's all I'm gonna say. Currently no. What makes you ask? Alan Payne versus Lawrence Tate? That's a great question. Man, because Alan Payne looked like he was gonna have that leading man role. He had it too. And did you remember they both were in movies with Jada Pinkett? That's a good question. I liked Alan Payne early on, but Lawrence passed him by. And I don't know if it's because Payne was short. I don't know what it was. But Lawrence Tate passed him though. He got more better roles as time went on. You can't get what you can't get. You do know it's a Hollywood plantation. If you ever watch my shows, my interview, my videos, how you doing? Well, I've been on. It's just that people don't come through. I was on Sunday and Monday. If you follow me, I'll let you know. So every time I come on, I usually get in touch with Charlene. She's on my Facebook, and I'll let somebody know. And I'm gonna be on tomorrow, but I'm on. There's some weeks there's gonna be at least just two, and then there's some weeks there'll be three or four. It depends on how the audience is. Depends on what's going on. Yeah, I was. I talked to Time. Time was on here. He was the only one that came here. He came here and we talked for we chopped it up for half an hour. So sometimes people just don't be on. Sunday, it usually, and probably in Mondays, and then this week just so happens I'll have like today and then it'll be on tomorrow. I gotta go somewhere in about a half hour because I would be on longer, but I gotta go out. But some weeks it's gonna be two times, sometimes it'll be three. It depends. It depends on what kind of vibe I get. Well, if you feel that way about him, why don't you feel that way about Ice T? Ice T did the same thing. And Ice T did it on Rocket. Ice T situation was more extreme than Pac's because he was on the cover of Rolling Stone dressed like 5 Flash Dance. I don't. He just playing okay. I'm watching them. They still gotta have the Aiton come up big. They're not good against legit teams. They'll be okay. The NBA's soft right now. I know I hadn't seen it either, and I usually give Jalen Hurts some love, but that was embarrassing. Now, Ice T was in more corporate situations before Tupac. I don't think you realize how big Ice T once was. And the fact is that he was doing film and TV and music, and it was a big deal because he was Warner Brothers, the powers that be, made a big deal about it. He had Dan Quayle and them talking about him. So now he was big time once upon a time. I know that when the shift on the West Coast blew up, he got kind of forgotten. Yeah, sometimes it's because I try to stay in touch with whatnot. I don't. That's a great question because I did a video about that yesterday. I don't see him doing nothing. He was okay his last year with them, but he's a gunslinger. He's always been like a broke double junior whopper um, version of Brett Favre, and he's one of the most erratic quarterbacks I ever seen in my life. Yeah, okay, let's see how getting warmed up. When they for real get hurt, and see, I'm gonna tell you something. When Austin Reeves gets exposed, they have to have him step up. See, the problem is he has to be the third best. He can't be the second best because then it messes up the command chain of command. They're not as good as they are what they look like, and they are after another team. They're not on. I don't see them doing that. No, because the Colts are a patchy team. Daniel Jones played as good as he could play, and Jonathan Taylor's balling out, and you still just basically 4 games over 500 in a weak division. And I don't see anything about them that's distinctive. I think Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence has got more moxie than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is more talented, but he doesn't have Trevor Lawrence's moxie. And Houston's got a defense. So, I mean, it's a nice story. However, it's when they lost that game to Kansas City and the way they lost to Kansas City, they're not that kind of team. They playing out their mind. It's not LeBron's team. It's not LeBron's team because if it's not Luca, then what is it? What you talking about? No, I didn't say you gotta be a pretty boy to play quarterback. I said that you gotta know how to win. It looked like he caught the ball. It looked like he did. But the problem with the Ravens is that Harbaugh needs to go. Harbaugh needs to go. And until they make some fundamental changes. Yeah, he did. That's a good question. I'm gonna use it for a future one. Chestnut was leading for a certain type, but Blair got more range. Morris ain't got no range. That's a good question. I'm gonna use that for a future thing I'm gonna do. Blair was a precursor to whatchamacallit that was in The Best Man. He's a precursor to that. They were both broke versions of Sidney Poitier. That's from that school. I can't think his name right now, but he was also on How Stella Got a Groove On. And cats like that, yeah, that's why y'all didn't come on here. Remember, that's why I was on here, and I know no Cowboy fans were in here. See, if y'all had to beat the Lions, I wouldn't been able to shut you up. I wouldn't have been able to shut you up for like ever. But Cosby Show versus Different Strokes. Far as what? Far as what? Far as what? The better show? Cosby Show in a blowout. The Different Strokes was actually more compelling. I like it, but it was more compelling what happened off the camera because that was crazy about what was going on. Fishburne, but I like Gregory Hines a lot. People don't know how versatile Gregory Hines was, but Fishburne was the better actor, and he had more shine. Gregory was more talented though, but he didn't get the same kind of money on him. No, it's Luca. It's Luca. LeBron don't control nothing because if he did, they would have never went and got D8. I don't care if he does or he don't. If your team loses 10 games every season, what good is that? What's stat pattern? If you kept John Amos, I would have said Good Times, but no John Amos is the Cosby Show. I watch Good Times more, but without John Amos, it wasn't the same. Depends on which area we talking about. What's harsh? What's harsh? Um, if they gonna play him like he's some buster, I want him out of there. No, Miles should have never resigned with Cleveland. He's kind of a dodo. I mean, good. Well, you too good. You should have been like hanging out with whatchamacallit who left Dallas to Green Bay. You should have been doing just like that. You should have been trying to go to a team that you could win a chip. Are you kidding me? They suck. Parsons, yeah. Parsons was smart. Shoot. Miles get man, if you go somewhere like New England, or you want to come to Buffalo, or you want to come to Tampa Bay, or you want to go to Detroit, go somewhere you can win. That's what they're trying to they're trying to spank Dion. This is some old timey hate. That's what this was. Favorite song off the wall? It's either Rock With You or I Can't Help It. And I do love Don't Start You Getting Up, so you can make a debate. Probably say Rock With You. And Thriller. Excuse me, Billie Jean, Human Nature, The Lady in My Life. That's where I'm at. It's hard. That's not why. He never wanted to coach the NFL. Thank you so much. Thank you. He never, thank you, appreciate it. He never wanted to coach in the NFL. Excuse me. I'm going to tell you like this great players cannot tolerate, thank you, substantial half hearted attitude. A guy like Dion knew how to play and win. Do you really think he'd go to Cleveland and waste his time and have a team that gets paid more than him and be that beautiful? Thank you. It's a combination of both. It's a combination of both. They playing better than they did last year. And I said that they won that chip last year, they were going to be better for it. And Chad Holmgren is going to be scary in the future. I said that. But the NBA is weak, though. And I've also said this every generation, just like in any music or movies or something, you got that one player, that one team, that one artist. There's a couple of them that get it, and they know how to do it. It doesn't mean that the quality overall is good. It's just that they got that one, and they happen to be the golden state of their time. But everything is falling the way it's supposed to. But SGA is really that good. Their coach is really that good. Their nucleus of their team is really that good. They play everything the right way. Oh yeah, go feel free. They should. I don't. Yeah, Wiki got all that love, but I ain't with it. Oh, Terrence. I'm not taking too many actors over Terrence, but the problem with Terrence is that the best days came and went, and DeAndre ain't on his level. I'm still gonna take Mariah because she got a better track record and she can give me something. Ariana Grande on her best day ain't seen Mariah Carey on her worst day. And I'm not even a big MC fan like that, but come on now. He's hit or miss, but the highs of him are better than a lot. Plus, he's done TV and film, and he's got a 40-year career. Almost. Well, what did I say about the Mikhail video that you disagree with? I ain't got no problem with. Because they like her range and she's got the imagery that they like. It's got nothing to do with her talent. It's not the songs. She's a decent vocalist in a Junior Whopper, Christina Aguilera kind of way. But she ain't got no depth though. Not like that. I would people come at me talking about, I said, well, give me them song catalog. What's the song that she's done that you go, oh yeah, you know? And a lot of times people like these acts because they're catchy, but that's not because they like them because they're doing anything that's great. Of those two, Kevin Samuels. Because the women, even though they may not agree with him, they shrug and say, yeah, he got me. Umar makes some valid points, but then he has a tendency to kind of trip over his own self. You know. Where Samuels, he did it in a dignified but in a street way that you want to laugh and you want to snarl, but then you kind of like, because some of the stuff he said, it's like he said in a way that you kind of couldn't disagree with. Well, the problem with Umar is like he's against, okay, so you're against interracial marriage and then you're against gay relationships. So if there was something of the, which one would you tolerate of? You know? And that's the problem when you try to come across like you just so against this and that. And what's your happy medium? Yeah, well, I agree with Penny Hardaway on that because Jokers would not have made it back then. Well, if you say mediocre and you can sing good, then you're basically saying they're mediocre because I'm gonna tell you something. It's called the start, finish, and the start, begin, and the end. So the vocals, the songs, and then the overall presentation, that's not good. Big Country was a second tier center at best. Rick Smith was a second tier center at best. They were not in the same conversation with Elijah One, David Robinson, Shaq, and Yolanda Morning. So I'm gonna have to put cap and put that right there. That means that was 17, 8, maybe 9 at the most. You do realize Elijah One, Shaq, um, Ewan was averaging like 24, sometimes at mid 20s or high amount 20. David Robinson. So there was tears to it. Yeah, some of them don't. That's true. Everyone's got something to go through. If you do, I like her as a player. I don't know nothing about her personally. Besides that she messing with Bam. And they almost like a male and female version of each other. Except she's more effective as a player than he is though. You know, he's doing good. He does good for what he's got. But it took him a while to get that outside shot going. And I would have loved to see Bam play when it was Heat culture. He's had to play in Heat trying to emulate Golden State culture, and it's had him to speed up a process where he just doesn't fit in because he looks very undersized when he goes against Jokic, and he comes across like just a light in the cakes version of Chris Bosh. And I think that with the right person around, it could have been scary. Well, yeah, I don't. Again, I'm gonna tell you like this: when it comes to athletes, entertainers, etc., I separate the two. I don't get caught up in all of it because I know most of them are, and a lot of the stuff is smoke and mirrors. So I'm sorry that that happened, but I'm not surprised. That's been the way it's always been with certain people. You live long enough, you'll feel that way about a lot of them. Believe me. Well, it's different with different folks. You know, Duncan was sure of himself, but he didn't have to say much. But it's different with them folks. Do you think? Um, kind of under, but not something that gets brought up a lot. That's not really a question because they're in two different lanes. Forrest Whitaker's a more rounded, overall, underappreciated kind of talent if you think about it. Clarence Williams was just strictly mainly as an actor. And after he did Purple Rain, he was limited. Forrest has got a lot of range. And in fact, in the Hollywood game, there's a big difference. I can't I hate to even put them in the same. Now I'll give Clarence Williams the third the edge in terms of what he's done for body work, but Forrest has got more versatility. All of them, but all of them. But the problem is this: Trey Young ain't gonna do nothing different than what he's doing. LaMelo Ball is pretty much Robert Ory said, called him like white chocolate, and that's pretty much it. He plays and one by himself. He's a video game. John Morant needs to pretty much get away and be shipped to Utah. You need to go somewhere that he not the hood element and he get play. He's a waste. Of the three, he's the most that's the waste. Trey peaked already. Trey got comfortable in Atlanta. Tupac. The problem with Kanye is that he had a ability to do all that, but he chose cheap ways out. I've seen Forrest's movies. Forrest done a lot of different things. He would not come to Miami because no way in the world they would tolerate his attitude. He'd have to change. Yeah. Jaw would be like Jimmy Butler. Okay. Um, not intellectually per se, because they're not that far from the same neighborhood. Kanye's mother was intellect, and he's done a lot of things. He's not, you know, he likes to challenge you, and he has to come across like he has multiple personalities. So they're not that dissimilar. Ironically, actually, I like Pac more, but it's more because of his highs have been more higher than Kanye, but they're not that dissimilar. Some people would think they are. They're not. Because he's not that deep of an artist. That's why he he gives you um he gives you I don't want to say fast food, but it's like it's catchy and it works at the time, but it's like, you know, I think he's good for his time. but he couldn't compare to what I listened to back in the day. No, no. He boasts and brags in this era. He'd have gotten a mud hole stomped in him back in the day against Ice Cube and Scarface and Pac and Nas. Against them cats, no. But coming around now, you ain't got the same amount. The person going to New York. Probably the harder the edge. Probably it's a good. I probably Brooklyn, Bronx. I think the Queens. I think Queens would probably do. Buffalo and hip hop, not quite the same. Buffalo musicality though overall gives, from a musical perspective, deep. No, if you know, then that's the Larry Holmes syndrome. That's what you're basically telling me that Kendrick Lamar's got is Larry Holmes syndrome. It's like you great in an era where you're not appreciated. Oh, the Bills? They're not a championship team. They're not a championship team. Josh Allen is playing hero ball. They had two come from behinds against Cincinnati and Baltimore at home, and you had to score, almost 40 points. You can't play like that. You can't play like that. You risk too many things can go wrong. And all it did was save Sean McDermott's coaching job. They're not really that good of a team, and they shouldn't be behind New England. It's just that every game you play, you got to play like hero ball just to break even. Shouldn't have that. Shouldn't have that. I'm starting Ice Cube, so that goes without saying. Dang, because Kendrick and Ice T are kind of similar. I gotta give a slight edge to Ice T, and Kendrick would have to get cut because Ice T 6 in the morning still goes hard. OG, he had a balance. He had a balance. He had a balance. Everybody's not behind the Patriot. Not the Rams ain't. Seattle ain't. They're better teams than New England. New England don't blow me away, but they're playing the right way. It's very Belichickish. They do enough. They check the boxes to win, but they're not a special team. They just know how to win games. Due to enough. That doesn't mean anything to me. They're not better than Seattle and the Rams. The eyeball tests tell me that at best they're probably the third or fourth best team at best, and they can be had. They can be had. And I'm not sold on the Broncos, but that's great coaching by Sean Payton. But Bo Nixon is just like Tebow 2.0. I would never do that because I grew up listening to those rappers. And Cube would be number one. Very lucky. Well, it's good coaching and also playing fundamental football. And you also respect your opponent. So 9 out of 10, if you do 9 things out of 10 the right way, you win close games. That's all it is. It's just basic fundamental football. It's ugly and they win usually. Now, the problem with those teams is this. If they play against a team that's got the talent and cause turnovers, they're getting the doorknobs beat off of them. Okay? That's what they got to work against. Because when the Patriots did lose those early games, he fumbled. He does fumble a lot. And Bo Nixon throws some bad picks. Told you, right type of team, you'll see what I'm talking about. They just haven't played that team yet. No, he ain't no franchise quarterback. He's too erratic. Um, Cube. Shoot, I probably have Snoop up in there. Kendrick would, no, I wouldn't say. Rams can beat the Lions. I'm telling you, if he wins those next two games, they're going to the Super Bowl. They just got to figure out how to beat Philly because the Rams have just been beating their own selves. That's the only reason why they're not undefeated, except for that Carolina game, and even that game was winnable. Probably say I got a man was more catchy, but just a friend was more iconic. Yeah, but Snoop, to me, had more of an impact for an album than Tupac did. And I think that Snoop's impact was as such because he was the Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron of rappers. He go to your label, he hit. He had a uniqueness about him, you know. So I have Cube and Snoop. And you asking me my rappers, I probably have Sugar Free top five. Because I listen to Sugar Free more than I do Kendrick, if you must know. Kendrick was, I mean, Sugar Free was funny too. Um, I think Kendrick is in the mix, but I ain't like that. For me, it's hip hop array. Cause I did it one time. I worked in a factory and I had East Indian cats and we was all doing hey ho like 2 in the morning. It was hilarious. Whoop, there it is. Like I got to be in the mood, which I like. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. Pac's got a better probably cadence, but come on now, Snoop was like when he came out. If and I don't know how old you is. Snoop came out was like but he can rap on time and he funny. And I ask him what makes me feel. Snoop was like a Teddy Pendergrass for hip hop. Had that voice, yo. Now he wasn't the baddest rapper. He didn't have the deepest skill set. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you someone who was better than Pac too, and better than Snoop, because he ghost wrote for Snoop, the DOC. Because that's how a lot of that stuff formulated, if you must know. The DOC. It's getting funky. It's getting funky. The DOC would have been a top five rapper on the West Coast. One for that accident. Guy had a great pen. He's also Erica Badu, one of her baby daddies. The DOC. Okay. So, but anyway, Snoop, yeah. Because the thing with Pac, I like most of Pac stuff before Death Row anyway. I ain't really that crazy about the Death Row era. Snoop was a franchise act. Makes no difference. Tupac's in the same boat. He had a lot of records and only like a couple of the records. So they both in the same boat. But which just goes to show being prolific doesn't mean that you hit. But when he hits, they is as good almost as anybody you can mention. There's a reason why Snoop is one of the five most known rappers ever. And if you took a poll, he's one of the five most known rappers ever. Go ahead and ask in the streets. Go ahead, be my guest. Because the only rappers that you can say that belong and that everyone kind of got a take on or know is what LL Cool J, Pac, maybe Biggie, maybe Cube, maybe Will Smith. I don't know. Snoop's in that five that everybody knows. Some might say Nas, I don't know. You can throw Snoop in there. So that counts for something in itself because people know him. You might say Jay Z. No, I don't because he was a producer and he actually could flow. Dre is one of the best rappers that was producers too. He was credible. So no, I'm not doing that because um he was a beat maker. So I don't really get caught up in all that. I think for hip hop, people take that and they used to frown on it. They don't frown on it no more. They used to. They don't no more. People don't care no more. People ain't that discerning. When they start loving somebody like Drake, I know they're not that deep about MCing. So most of the cats they got out now are not MCs. Not in the traditional sense. Not in the way you should be. So why would you? No, ain't no notches lost. It's the DRE. Make you feel free. Let me show you in the place to be. See, he could just hear the cadence about him. His cadence alone gets him a pass. I already know, and I don't have no interest in watching that mess. That's like somebody daddy trying to fight their son, and they didn't had extra cheese on their pasta, and they might hit them with a punch, but they might get their feelings knocked off. DMX is not as popular though. Yeah, but it ain't gonna have the same kind of connotation as those two. Let me knock this down. Will Pac Snoop. Yes. DMX. Luda for acting, not so much the same. Biggie, depends on who you ask. Jay-Z, I'll give you. Latifah, I'll give you. LL, I'll give you. Cardi B, depends on who you ask. So you got one, two, three, four, five out of that. EU. Baby Got Back got more social commentary. I like The Butt by EU. And it was from School Days. But Baby Got Back had more social commentary. Because it's lasted longer. The Butt was catchy, but Baby Got Back was more. It's far lasted longer. Mix a lot retired off that song, so I already know he retired off that song. You know, Bow Wow for as black folk and some white folk, but not generally. He's not that known. Ice T. If I was doing a top 10, yeah. If I do a 10, but I will say this: he's been on Law and Order so long that a lot of people almost forget about the perm and what he started off doing. So it's kind of like unless you go back. But I'll give you T. But again, think about it when I say who's known. And you got like a lot of them that come and go, but everybody don't know you. And what I mean by know you is that you're pop consensus. So when we say pop consensus, I can say Will Smith, I can say Snoop, I can say Latifah, I can say Ice Cube, Pac. You can even say Diddy if you want to. People know Diddy. People know 50. Do you think? It depends. But you know one thing about it, if you're one hit wonder, you always get an opportunity to come back because you made a song that everybody knows. Think about it. Gloria Gaynor just got honored by Trump and she lived off I Will Survive for like what, 60 years? Think about it. So all it takes is that one hit. And I'm talking about a money hit. That's what I mean by money track. Money track means you can do that thing till you drop. Starting Kim Carnes. I'm gonna go in that order. Because Kim Carnes was she had a pretty successful career. Debbie Gibson wrote and produced her stuff. And I'm gonna tell you like this: if Taylor Swift could blow up, Debbie Gibson was more talented. But you know, I like Debbie Gibson all right. Taylor Dane could sing, but she was limited. It didn't really go beyond that era. She had a decent voice though. Two Live Crew. Anything Two Live Crew did was gonna be considered more raunchier. And that wasn't even their dirtiest song. Their dirtiest song was "Hey, we want some." You fill in the blank. That was their dirtier song. I remember when that one came out in 86, 87. Used to hear that in the school parking lot all the time. As a songwriter, as a songwriter, she had some underrated because True Colors was a classic. Time After Time, which Miles Davis covered. She could write as a songwriter. She could, but she didn't have no depth, and she also wasn't trying to be an R&B. She wasn't trying to get Sheena Easton up or try to like they didn't. They really they kept her adult contemporary. I liked Always Love You, and I thought she had a good voice, but there was no money. She sung with Prince. She did a stage with him. She opened up for Michael Jackson. She just didn't. She had kind of like an older vibe. Well, the stuff you like is because it sounded good at the moment. It's kind of like eating fast food. If you remembered it, it said when it was warm and fresh. But if you got out the parking lot, that thing was soggy. It was done. So that's kind of how I looked at it. I remember that Tootsie Roll. I remember all that stuff. We liked a lot of stuff until we got home, and then we put it in. It didn't hit the same. I know. I've been guilty of it too. Some people call it guilty pleasure. Some people call it just guilty. I got about 5 minutes before I got to roll too. They're not in the same conversation. Theirs was just strictly more for they had a sound, but it was for more shock value. But I don't put them in the same boat because Luke Campbell did do things with what he had to go against for censorship and stuff like that. But that thing didn't have the impact as those other two. They did not have the impact. I don't look at it like I do to do. Yep. That's who I would put in that conversation. Because PE was more in that. But Run DMC is still going to beat anybody you must put up there. Um, Impact. But once NWA took off, some of that juice got lost because some people again, some of that. Even though Ice Cube's first album, America's Most Wanted, he worked with Hank Shockley and the Bomb Squad. So he brought those two worlds together. A lot of people don't even talk about that. I still got Run DMC's overall. Even Chuck D would tell you that. Chuck D is a great MC. And I like what they did for production. But Run DMC will always be like the Jackson 5 Beatles of hip hop. Everybody's playing for second place. They're not my favorite hip hop group ever. However, it's hard to argue. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Top 4, 5, top anywhere from 4 to 6. Oh yeah. His storytelling. Because he had that bipolar cryptic thing going, which and he was a musician too. Brian uh can't even think of his last name, but Brian his real name is government name. Brian Jordan. Yeah. Dude can play. Saw him play guitar. I saw his Tiny Desk thing. I never seen a man cry till I seen a man cry. He has some haunting songs. And he's the only cat to me that could match the intensity of Ice Cube when Cube was at his peak in his prime. The only one. Only one. That's why when they ever do drink champs, they always mention him against Cube. He's the only one. Run DMC is first, Outkast second. Then I would probably say Ghetto Boys from and Wu Tang. Wu Tang was like kind of they had like a high, but then it's jumped off and it kind of got clustered. Ghetto Boys were interesting because I mean you had the dynamics of Willie D and you had the dynamics of Bushwick and you had dynamics of Scarface. But Run DMC will always impact and records and culture, and then Outkast is up there for me. Um, Onyx was more catchy of the two. I think it was production. I like Ghostface. See, I'm gonna tell you like this about me. I bought the records, right? 36 Chambers was great. Ghostface was tight. And Method to me was kind of like the Rasheed Wallace of rappers. He could have been better than what he allowed. He played team player role. He didn't really go as far as he could have. Had a great duet with Mary, where never got him. ODB had personality, but RZA was known with the production. They were trying to be like a new edition, if you will, a Saturday Night Live, where everybody jumped off and popped off, but it didn't quite hit all the way. There was something that one could do, the other couldn't do, and I think that Method should have been he should have been the Michael Jackson of that situation, and it didn't quite get the full totality. So people are kind of split. They should have been the most important hip hop act ever, if you want to be honest, because so are the solo careers and the production. And I don't quite hold them in that regard. Biggie, Biggie, because Biggie verses was cold. Shoot, Listen to the stuff he did with R. Kelly and Michael and anybody. To me, what's up? How you doing? Bill Cosby. That's not up for discussion. Nipsey Russell was a good entertainer, and I liked him. But I'm only looking for Hollywood Squares. He was a brother who knew his place. He definitely knew how to hit in a particular place. But I didn't look at him like I did as far as being a comedian's comedian or a guy that I go, oh, this guy was like the turning point. No, I didn't look at it like that. What's happening, Tom? You catching me, but I probably be on about 15 more minutes because I got to go. Got 15 more minutes. But thank you for coming on. I was talking about you earlier because Timmy T was on the X, and I said that we were on, and you were helping me out the other day, and I appreciate you. Now, Nipsey Russell, a talented dude, but I don't look at him like I do Bill Cosby. I mean, well, I didn't decide to use her as a focal point. I mean, I could always go back to what she was doing. Of course, she does too much, but that's what she gets paid to do. But you see, she can manipulate like she's a journalist. There's the difference between her and 50. He's not no journalist. He's an artist. Since when do artists pay to have documentaries on fellow artists? Artists used to supposed to take care of themselves. That's like going, imagine if you in school and you team up to tell on another peer against a teacher. Think about it. That's what he's doing. Where is he getting the money from? Where does he get the seed money from? West Side Story. But I like Grease better, but West Side Story. Come on now. West Side Story was more influential. West Side Story was precursor to Grease and precursor to Michael Jackson's Beat It and all that. Yeah, well, this is kind of what this is what he's doing. See, I like what you did, except for one major problem. Oprah is a journalist. 50 Cent ain't a journalist. No. Left Eye was just crying for help. She was looking for a daddy figure. She was looking for a strong light. And nothing but a lot of leeches and a lot of cats that were just trying to just use and abuse. So if you got any kind of vices, people will sniff you out and they will try to exploit your weaknesses. And she found out she didn't have any friends. And she was pitted up against the two girls that she worked with. They were together in some ways, but they were different. Well, she's tied into the business. You do know she association with David Geffen and a lot of these other people. So of course she's gonna be like that. Tyler Perry made money and he sold his soul, and she don't mind. And Harvey Weinstein was very good to her and got business done. And you see, they select about how they got to keep the plantation. That's what's up. Michael got a lot of stuff off of Bob Fosse too. Michael was a strong student of sponging. Fred Astaire, Jackie Wilson. He learned all the tricks of the trade. Sammy Davis Jr., James Brown. He was a great pop culture student. These cats who sit in the file room. It's kind of like how Tom Brady or Kobe Bryant or Peyton Manning guys or Barry Bonds, athletes who'd sit and watch and listen and observe and did pick spots. Well, he did the same thing. Yeah, he did because he had it hard for her. He had it bad for her. No, there are no friends in the industry. Well, most of them mess with drug dealers. That's not nothing new. I mean, Harvey's trying to marry the stepdaughter off to the highest bidder as it is. So yes, he was very much he was. Well, he took on the hairstylings and the fan blowing and he did little whole poses and he was definitely he loved Donna Ross something terrible. And anybody could see I mean, he was in love with her. If she left her thong outside on the clothesline, he was like looking at that thing. He had it bad for her. And I said it how I meant it. I ain't stutter. Cause that's when Caspi just like and just hip she was had him under hypnosis. And I know something went down with him. There are no friends in that industry. Start bench cut. House Party's gonna stay. Risky Business will stay, and Beat Street gets cut of those three because it's better storyline. Beat Street didn't have no storyline. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. But Steve Harvey's been able to flesh out a career for his own. I like Bernie more, but I can't knock Steve Harvey's hustle. Steve Harvey got a hustle that hey, he been able to do 15 different jobs. Should you know they're gonna put money on him. They kept that wig on his head in check. So you know he knew what he was doing. I was watching him just last night because I was watching You Got Served, which is one of my movies. Yep. We only like Beat Street because we only liked it because of that. That's all. It was a corny, just trying to cash in. Risky Business was cool because Tom Cruise at that time. Beat Street ain't got nothing on that. Ain't got nothing on that. Got nothing on that. And House Party was better than both of them, as far as I'm concerned. It's just that Kid and Play didn't have the cachet. Beat Street ain't better than no House Party. And Risky Business got it beat. Tom Cruise was no. I only like I'll take Breaking over Beat Street. Beat Street was yeah. Because I'm gonna tell you like this. I will. If you ever catch me in real life, somebody gets at me, I go, because today, baby boy, you got served. Served. I will actually be, oh yeah, I did like you got served. I do. And I saw them cats on the R&B Money podcast. I saw Raspy and them. And I'm not even, but it's that movie, yeah, I did like you got served. Because Wade, old freaky Wade, yeah. And I give him his credit. The guy, we're still talking about him 40 years later. Oh yeah, You Got Served was one of my joints. Stomp the Yard. I like that. Hmm. Roll Bounce. Now you want to talk about a movie that I really like? I like Roll Bounce because that takes me back. That's the only thing that Bow Wow's ever done that I really like. Had the little Johnny Cochran afro. I like the Naked song because Tank did that. That's his doing his dance. That was the only thing. And I tried. He did that We Be Clubbing with R. Kelly wrote. Uh, Joe Button was on the chorus. That's it. Marcus only got like 1.5 songs I can tolerate because he can't sing. But Naked was catchy. And I like We Be Clubbing. He did that one with Kales. But he ain't got no talent though. You know. Marcus Houston reminds me of a cat I grew up with though. Was a friend of mine back in the day. He do remind me of that cat that was crazy. Yeah, because it was all based on the NWA premise. And it almost buried Chris Rock's career. Um, yeah, Eyes Wide Shut was horrible. Him and then Nicole Kidman were horrible. I wasted 3 hours of my life going to sleep. That was bad. I wasn't that big on Days of Thunder. Born on 4th of July was okay. Uh, no, what I like about Cruz though is that we still care about him 4 decades later. That cat done it the right way. I didn't want to waste my time with House Party 3. The Granny was the funniest bit of House 3, but it was pretty much shot after the second one when Latifah was in there hating. Oh, though, that came out in '88. Cocktail. I saw that. That was yeah. See, he was very lucky that Rain Man came out, and he had just the right. Then he did the firm. He had the right movies that just you know it did, but it was boring as all get out. I sat there for 3 hours and I about fell asleep. I probably would say Mob Deep of those three, but I listen to Kid and Play the most though. The others, they're not in that conversation for me. Yep, with him and Jack Nicholson, and he had the right roles. Of course, Jerry Maguire was a big one. He always did and he was a standard. He was a standard cat. Let me tell you how I know Tom Cruise was a standard cat even back in the 80s. Because think of a movie about Wall Street. Charlie Sheen was portraying him. Then you fast forward to Scent of a Woman with Al Pacino and Christopher O'Dowd. That was Tom Cruise. That's his blueprint on them white boys. Think about it. Yeah, he was talented. That's why I mentioned Mobb Deep, because I definitely like them. They got a song that Prince played keyboards on that I like. They had a couple songs I like, and even before Out of Control with 50 and Dre, all that. But Tom Cruise's impact was there. Donny Hathaway this Christmas. Mic drop. And I listen to that all year long. Donny Hathaway, for me. For me. Because that thing is so soulful. Thank you. I mean, that song, I remember back in 91, in the summer, I put that vinyl on. I was in that in like in July. It was hot outside. I was like, dun 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 dun. I was like, it's like, I just, and then believe it or not, uh, Last Christmas with Wham, I like that song a lot too. I'm starting Donna Summers. And then I got to bench Anita Baker, and I'll have to cut Natalie Cole because Natalie Cole didn't have the run as the other two. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. I like Natalie too a lot. But Anita did what Natalie couldn't do. Preacher's Wife, for me. Okay, I got about 10 more minutes before my roll. I didn't like Mariah's holiday work. I like Preacher's Wife. I thought her gospel songs were good. Yeah, I mean, Donna Summers is more versatile as time goes on. Anita Baker got the soulful harmonies that you can't shake. I like Natalie Cole, but but Natalie Cole's best stuff to me was in the 70s. That Pink Cadillac mess and all the other stuff until she did the Unforgettable Project. When she was versatile though. I'll tell you this. If we're going by versatility, only Donna Summers got her beat. Because when she started doing the standard stuff, I liked it a lot. But Donna and then Anita, then her. Yeah, I like Natalie Cole. But it's just that the others. Why don't you? Because it's corny. Cheese ball. Like most people, that stuff just is annoying. She's like somebody who calls you at 6 in the morning and you sleeping so good. Like, hi, how you doing? Hey, you ever had that where you want to take that phone and just throw it out the window? Because like, why are you so cheery? I can't take Anita over Donna. Donna was more groundbreaking, way more groundbreaking, better overall. I take Celine over too. Don't be sorry to say that because Celine Dion utilized her voice and had better material. She never was out of her element. And Celine is actually more credible as an artist. Mariah is a writer and producer. Donna Summer. Because Millie was kind of limited. I like Millie, but kind of limited. And what you want me to do about it? Do you think because she breaking ruckus that makes this the greatest holiday song? She struck a chord at the right time, and I'll give her props. Doesn't mean that it was the end all be all. And I don't think that most people even care about that. No, no. because she a white woman and she got far more credit than James Ingram ever did. It'd be on if we lived in a fair world, I might give you that. But Ingram uh is what you call truly what's the word uncredit under you work with Quincy Jones, two monster songs. You write PYT from Michael Jackson, monster song. Have a solo career. Yamo be there. He's undisputed. It's not even up for discussions. Well, Celine Dion's been decorated. He never got what he got to have for his due, not to have. Uh Stefan is gonna stay. Stefan would stay. And then Selena, and then Shakira gets cut. I only like Shakira because she'd be like Shakira. Shakira ain't got to do with her music. Stefan, if Stefan wins, James Ingram for me. People had the better career. The Afro white suit era people, but I like the Ingram. I listen to Ingram more though. It's okay. I like Jeffrey Osborne, but he ain't touching no Donny Hathaway. I like to look at Selena, and she had a decent voice, but Stefan had better material. She had better material. Selena didn't like knock me out. I liked her all right. Yeah, well, they did the Donny song. Hathaway was like that dude, yo. He was that dude. Okay, I got 10 more minutes for my roll. Yeah, I like that song. I like it. And listen, Eddie Levert is one of my favorites. But when you ask me what's my favorite, you know, I'm taking Donny Hathaway. But I like it though. Streisand because she got better catalog. I like Bassie's voice though, but Streisand got better catalog. We didn't care what she was saying. We liked her. She had a nice tone. She had a nice tone. You know, I seen videos where she did covers of Michael Jackson and Ralph Tresvant. They're on YouTube, by the way. But we didn't care though. We never do. 67% saying he's doing too much. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, keep hitting those likes up. And I'm glad we're getting the polls up. It's good to see everybody coming through. Um, Voice, I'm going to go with Monica. Aaliyah, Selena. I think you got more out of Aaliyah. But I do like Selena, but I think you got more out of Aaliyah. Aaliyah and Selena were more compelling overall, but Monica had the voice. New England should win the game. I'd be very surprised if they don't win, and I'll tell you why. Because they've been very poised. They don't make a lot of mistakes. Buffalo makes a lot of mistakes. Buffalo's a more flawed team. If they go in and they beat New England, then this Josh Allen's year. If they go in and they lose, then New England is not a fraud. That's how I look it up, basically. Because to me, New England should win the game. They find ways to win, so why would you not sweep the Bills? You know, no, I'm not because I don't expect. I don't know what. First of all, this is thing. If you're older, you can come back and you drop some. If it's a good record, it's a good record. But I don't know what the big hype is. Nas is not exactly going to do something that he hasn't done before. You know, can you make a decent rap album if you're older and you're? Yeah, you can. Do people care about it? Some do, some won't. No one is going to. Fantasia is the better singer, but she has no star appeal over the other two. J Hud's got TV show. J Hud's got like a mini broke Oprah thing going, and Beyonce. Fantasia doesn't have any songs that seeing Beyonce. She doesn't have J Hud star power. If I was Fantasia, I'd call Stephanie Mills and say, "Hey, I need to do some of them songs, and maybe I'll get some hood love." But she already won. She won all the awards, and she got all the. She did everything to get what she got. She never got the right song. No one cares about Jordan Sparks. Jordan Sparks supposed to have been the Mariah Carey for generation. It didn't turn out that way. Worked with Chris Brown, had a soundtrack work with Whitney, was in the movies, etc. Should have been the Irene Cara situation. Jordan kind of came and went. It was cute, and it didn't really last long. It didn't really last long. I like anybody over Rihanna, but Rihanna's got more star power. Rihanna is like the versatile act. She wrong era. Wrong era. Should have had a Tracy Spencer type of thing or something that was cute like um Shanice Wilson. Should have had something like that. Mary J in a blowout. Come on now, Mary got the 90s. Alicia Keys ain't seeing that. Alicia burned on the same year she blew up. And Faith is a better singer, but Faith ain't got no star power. So it's Mary J in a blowout. Alicia Keys can't see no Mary. Alicia Keys had the money machine behind her, but she never got to her full potential. Mary had certified 2 classic records and songs. Alicia can't see no Mary. She might be more talented. Well, it's because you come in the era that you came in. Top 3 of what? Rihanna ain't that deep. Catchy. I guess for this generation, she's like a Donna Summers because she was tropical, but she can't sing, but she got over. I think Jordan Sparks was crossed over without it being fully fledged. No, she can't. She can't see Mary's catalog. Cause what's the 411 in my life are considered classics. Alicia Keys ain't got no records that seeing Mary. She ain't got I'm not gonna cry no more. She ain't got no song like that. She ain't got like that. Yeah, but she's catchy though. She's got a bass that bought her as a street appeal. There's a difference. Give me a minute. I gotta give me a minute. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. All right, I'm back. I had to step out for just a second. Sorry about that. And I gotta get ready to roll in just a little bit. Let's see. Well, let me say this about Mary J. Blige. I'm gonna go in about 4 minutes. Mary also is like a black version of what Adele does. The broken-hearted thing, it worked, and she's got songs that have lasted. Rihanna is more catchier, but remember, Rihanna was bigger as a ringtone artist. So what's that say? No, Mary J. and Method Man. That's what you need to know. She ain't one of the greatest ever. There's nothing about Rihanna that points to greatness. Sorry. If I was like thinking with the thinking in terms of like a dude that likes somebody based on imagery, yes. But if I'm using common sense, she's not in the conversation. She can't sing, she can't dance, and there's nothing remotely unique about her. There's nothing about Rihanna that says screams to me that she's a great artist. She has an appeal. I'll give her that. I'll give her that. But she's not a singer, and those songs are not that memorable. So, but there's always acts like that because they're catchy and people gravitate towards that. And I get it. No, she's not. No, she's not. And I'm not even a big Beyonce fan. There's nothing. Beyonce's a better singer, got better songs. It's not even up for discussion. Thank you, Charlene. Please. Betty Wright had a better career, you know. If Alicia Keys had the goods, she'd be running, she'd be the black version of who? Gaga. Remember, she was supposed to be like an updated version of Roberta Flack with the piano and playing Chopin and classical and bopping your head with a hip hop beat. And she can't do it. No one looks at Rihanna great that I associate with. Thank you. Charlene and me are like two peas in the same pot on that one. You ain't winning that one. We know better. I give Rihanna her credit for being catchy. Appreciate your time. I'm gonna get ready to go in about a minute, so I gotta be out here in about 2 minutes. So appreciate you coming through. Thank you so much. No, there's nothing about Rihanna that I sit around and go, oh, catchy. And they're three of the most overrated acts I've ever seen in my life, too. Three of the most. Rihanna can't sing. Taylor Swift doesn't have memorable songs, and Alicia Keys doesn't play anything in key or sing in key. So they all overrated to me. She happened to have the exotic look and work with the right people at the right time. That's all. Rihanna ain't even as catchy as Grace Jones, okay? And Pull Up to the Bumper slays anything Rihanna ever did, okay? Taylor Swift, for all them hits and stuff, ain't got nothing as memorable. I can name a lot of acts that if Taylor Swift doesn't have half the pen game Cyndi Lauper had, and Alicia Keys don't have half the keys that Roberta Flack had. So, you know, them three are like generic. Well, that's a personal problem. She makes them three look like the Supremes. She sucks. But I understand why you like Sabrina Carpenter though. If I'm sitting around And just in thoughts, she's the Nancy No Sinatra. It's like a bad gimmick. So, but I get it though. You're a pop culture junkie. Just the ringtones, and she was like an exotic islander. They like that exotic look. If you black and you from the islands, they can put money on you and you exotic and you're non-threatening. Shoot, pull up to the bumper while you jiving. Shoot. I'm not perfect. I'm perfect for you. And the thing is that she didn't try to push herself for some great artist, but she knew her lane though. No, Alicia's like something that she's always been in the right place at the right time, worked with the right artist and was on the right money and the right. It's just that's how it goes. Well, you need to, because Pull Up to the Bumper is one of the funkiest songs you're gonna ever hear. She worked with Sly and Robbie. And you see, you come in here, I'll tell you something. I'm not claiming to be no end all be all with stuff, but I listen to a lot of stuff. A lot. And when it come to music, as with sports, there's a lot of stuff I didn't seen before. And for some people, it's like, oh, this thing. When you see some people, you're like, oh, wow. There's nothing new under the sun. Industry regurgitates stuff and makes it and for people who don't know, they pick on your common denominator. That's a lie. Glorious to who? Who are all these people? First of all, you talking about her like she's Sade. Sade can get away with being away for 20 years and people care. Thank you, Charlene. You're talking about Rihanna like she's Sade. Sade's the one that you're talking about. Sade been around. Sade don't even put albums out for a decade, and Sade will drop out tomorrow, and people will do what they do. And Sade don't even change her styling up. That's who you. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Rihanna has been good eye candy. She's been catchy. She saved ASAP Rocky's behind multiple times. Lord knows. And I think she's a nice looking woman and all that, but talent, no. Catchy, yeah. Big difference. And also they lacking knowledge because they've been brainwashed with a lot of sampling, looping, and now AI. So they wouldn't know. Why do you think that Michael Jackson clip had people's wigs falling side to side? That 1 minute clip was like Prince Prince album coming back on the charts. Why do you think that is? They are hungry for something because they don't have it today. They don't have it. You don't have it. I listen to a lot of ask Charlene, do I listen to modern music? I've listened to a lot of modern artists. Not quite, because Grace was more of a niche. Not quite, because Grace is like a niche. I use the Grace Jones analogy because that's how I look at Rihanna, because they're stylist. Anita Baker's more, you know. So that's why I use that. I keep telling people I think Bruno Mars is the baddest artist going today, and I think Gaga is one of the most talented artists. Except Gaga's issue is that she never wrote anything. Thank you. Gaga's problem is that she tried to do too much of the past. She can't really just do music, and she can play, but it's like, hey, you got to bring other stuff. And Bruno is good for what he do. He can write. I listen. I give first of all, I give artists a chance a whole lot. I listen to a lot of different eras. It's just that people don't even care about music like that no more. They don't. It's not the same. And if you grew up watching artists who had a standard, The only problem with Gaga though is that she's a better version of Madonna, but she's not better than Madonna. She doesn't have the song. She doesn't have the catalog. She got everything else but that finish. If she had that finish, she go down as one of the greats because she can sing different styles and she can play different styles, but she's limited and she too much gimmick ball. That's my only knock about her. Okay, I'm going in 3 minutes, so and the show will be on. That's what I'm saying. Now you understand what I'm getting at. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. 'Cause Quincy Jones used to say it the best. He says it's all about the songs, man. It's all about the songs. See, we could sit here all day and talk about how great your talent is, but if you never reach your full potential, you know, like I'll give you this in basketball. To me, Vince Carter was a better talent than Kobe Bryant, but Kobe utilized what he had far more better. All Vince's got those dunks, and they were great. And he might be the greatest dunker I ever saw, but his career had that high, and it just stayed at that, and it didn't go nowhere else. So sometimes it's like that with music. I can show you people that can play. As far as what I'm taking Donna Summer over both Janet and Madonna put together because she was a replica. She could do both of their careers. They couldn't do her career. If I was ranking them in order, Donna would be one, Madonna would be two, and Janet would be three. If I'm ranking them in order, if I'm being, because Madonna had better songs than Janet, but Donna got them both beat overall. She had better albums and better music, and she's more versatile. And and she earned her title in a more colder era for women too. It's not close. Donna Summer was bad. You could play them songs today. She and Georgia Moroder was the business. My Madonna love was pretty much early 80s to early 90s. That's peak and prime. And Janet, mid 80s, mid to late 90s. Donna Summer, she gave me something all the way from 70s to late 80s. And she could perform and she could sing. She was a better songwriter too. Yeah, but you see, again, that's comes down to the songs. I listen to the songs, and then I got, again, you got the songs. That's how we remember. That's why Madonna get over. Freddie in a blowout because he had better songs and a better solo career. I'll give Johnny Gill second and Gerald Levert get third. Gerald had hit songs and stuff, but he never hit on himself like he did for others, like Practice What You Preach or with the Rude Boys or with Levert. Johnny Gill, because he came up with the song like um, My, and he had some songs, but Freddie got them both beat combined. Freddie had a better solo career than both of them combined. Sometimes when you ask me about some of these acts, it's not that I'm dissing them like that, because I will listen to a Gerald Levert. I like Funny. I like that last song he did, Funny. I like that a lot. Make me think of Michael Jackson's Butterflies had that beat, but Freddie got them both beat. Freddie had a better career. Freddie debut was better than what them cats did for their whole solo career, if you must know, because Rock Me Tonight. Yeah, it was, but Gerald Levert wrote that. He wrote it. Well, Freddie and Luther, but Freddie was better than that. There's tiers to this. So Freddie's beating all the second tier, most of the second tier cats because he had a better career. He had a very success, and he had songs. Gerald Levert, look, Johnny Gill is more talented than he leads on. He's a multi instrumentalist, but his music ain't never gone nowhere with that. And Gerald Levert was a guy that was better in a group, but his solo career was kind of stagnant. Freddie had a better solo career. Of course, Luther got Freddie beat, and Barry got Freddie beat too, but you didn't ask that. But Freddie is more on par with those guys than Gerald Levert and Johnny Gill. But Gerald wrote big songs for others. Like he co-wrote "Practice What You Preach" for Barry, and he co-wrote "It's Written All Over Your Face" for the Rude Boys. "Pop Pop Goes My Mind," what he did with Levert. His solo, his other, and "Baby Be Mine" with Mickey Howard, Freddie. Cause I like Sweats Make It Last, and then I like Twisted. But in between that, he ain't touching Freddie. Freddie had better material. I like Primary's first record, and then I like Twisted and some other songs. And he had songs I like. Freddie, Jam Tonight, Don't Want to Lose Your Love, Rock Me Tonight, You Are My Lady. He got better songs. Sweat had the sound because working with Teddy, and he had a career, but Freddie's more talented though. Keith Sweat's one of those guys that he's the link between Luther Vandross and R. Kelly as far as King of R&B, and maybe you throw Babyface in there as the writer producer, but as artistry, he's the link between Luther and R. Kelly. But he's treated like the Larry Holmes of R&B. Big, but he never had no real cross, except for the first album and a couple of things. But he's just, yeah, no one talks about Keith. And because he was mediocre too. He had good songs, but he couldn't sing to save his life. Bobby Brown for me. And I like Keith. Keith had some songs that I like, but Bobby had, come on, Bobby had brought more bangers in the heat. Keith was more consistent though. 62% saying they think that. Okay, so I'm gonna get ready to go in just a couple minutes. I am back on tomorrow. We're gonna run it back. Tevin Campbell for me. Tevin was a better singer and he had better songs. No, sounds like he's getting pimp slapped by someone's choking him out. Give him a binky. Tevin for me, but Bobby had a better window. But Tevin for me as far as singing, if we're going by singing in the, because Tevin had level to it. I like Tevin a lot, and that's a good question for me too, because But I got to give Tevin the edge though. Tevin had more of an upside where his vocals was going. Bobby's albums were incomplete, and he had songs I like, but because they weren't that memorable. They had great songs, but they were not what I call great albums. And like Got to Be There was a great song. I Want to Be Where You Are. Probably that era. He had some soulful songs and One Day in Your Life, but they didn't really hit like that because Jackson 5, he didn't have the yin and the yang of songs that matched. And they weren't on that level. They were better than average, but they weren't what I call top tier good. He had the Michael Jackson thing, but he didn't have the songs per se. And if he did, they were scattered. Whereas when he got grown, it all came as one. That's why. No, it wasn't that memorable. I like parts of Morphine. Is It Scary was about 10 years too late as far as sound. Blow on the Dance Floor was a rethread of Remember the Time. It just sound like outtakes, and they didn't sound like they were. No, no, it wasn't that memorable. But I did like Morphine because he did the Nine Inch Nails thing, and I like Is It Scary. I like the chorus of it, but the music was Jamie Lewis about 10 years removed. Michael Jackson's. He was talking. It was talking about Michael's like the albums that like Ben's a great song. I won't be wait, but they weren't cohesive. I like Got to Be There was a great song, but it didn't really hit with the public like that. And people because it was like, okay, you're good, now let's see you get great. That's why. That's why when Off the Wall and Thrill and all that and Bad and all that hit, it was like, oh yeah, the stars were aligned. Let me put it to you like this: he had the pre-adult solo career that Tevin Campbell kind of had. But even Tevin got him beat because Tevin had Can We Talk? And I'm ready. So it's kind of like a Ralph Tresvant. A Ralph Tresvant never can you stand the rain. If he never gets, and he didn't get that for a solo career. So if you got the goods, but you never get the great, and Michael didn't leave anything on the table when he got to his adult. That's the point. So those records didn't have the great. They had moments, but they didn't have like, oh. So it's not like he was gonna be able to. He should have done "Got to Be There" and "I Want to Be Where You Are," but it wasn't like he had enough of those songs on those records that it was gonna be 20 years later that people, you know, not. It was a niche. So okay, I'm gonna get ready to go now. He could sing. He could sing. He had a tone, and he had a voice. And tell me something. So, Tevin Campbell versus Usher, who you think's a better singer? And did you not hear the Whitney Houston thing? I liked his voice, but he didn't have no depth. He didn't have the depth that Tevin had. Tevin could sing. I have a good friend of mine who's a music writer, and one of the things we talked about, this was some years ago, about Tevin Campbell's careers. He said that's one of R&B's greatest tragedies, that the guy wasn't bigger. So I'm not alone in my assessment. I know when I hear somebody that's got the goods. Tevin Campbell was singing with El DeBarge, okay? On You Will Know. And he was singing grown folks. He was working with, when he worked with Babyface, working with Prince, Quincy. Think about it. He was set for the big stakes. Look at the people he's working with and the Michael Jackson comparisons and the stuff that he did with the Whitney Houston vibrato coming out of him. Think about it. Aretha Franklin came out and said that he was her favorite artist. Shoot, Aretha endorsed him back in 98. He selected not to work with what was happening. But talking about a cat that got range, I mean, I listened to his material. I really dug him big time. Back to the World was one of my favorite cuts. That's not the same. He had a couple hits though. To his credit, 2 or 3 songs that hit, but he was like a novelty. That's all. I wouldn't quite say tragic. I'd just say that he just, you know, that's a whole different level of situations. Anyway, on that note, I'm gonna recall the day though. Please continue to hit the likes up and appreciate everyone that participated. Welcome back. I will be back tomorrow. So be on the lookout for me. If you'll get notified, we will talk. And I appreciate everyone that came through. Stay safe, stay blessed, and thank you. And we'll catch you tomorrow. All right, I'm out. Peace.